Hey, so welcome back to another episode of the CPI Forecast. I'm here with Anton from Tomigo. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Rob.
Yeah, it's
for the invitation.
Could you introduce yourself, your role, a bit more about the company?
Yeah, for sure. Myself, I'm called Anton. I'm from Austria, and I work for the company Tomigo. We are a workforce management solution. So in easy words, we're doing scheduling, time and attendance, and absence planning for employees, meaning that, for instance, bigger retail chains use us in the store so that the planner has a scheduling board in the web application, schedules for a week, a month, or a day, and then the individual employee will see their schedules, and then they can clock in and clock out through Tomigo, plus plan their absences, basically.
Nice. Yeah. So how long has Tomigo been going?
So it's a company from Denmark, and it was founded in 2006. Therefore, also Denmark being our home market is the biggest market. But then slow and steadily, we expanded into other countries, like, for instance, Germany or the UK. And to answer the question from before, what is my role? I'm working as a business development representative, and I work for several markets, so from the DACH region over to UK and also in Italy.
Nice. Busy man.
Yeah, quite.
How long have you been with Tomigo?
2 years, around 2 years now.
And what was any history in retail in the past, or?
There is a couple of things that come up constantly, like the question for AI. Everybody wants AI these days, and everything as automated as possible, which is understandable. But on the other side, it's also not so easy to elaborate on what you really want when you speak AI. So for us, that means people want a perfectly rolled out schedule that is taken into account all of the factors that you want to have. Like Michael cannot work with Michelle, and Michelle actually would love to work with Lucas, and those kinds of things. But we believe in a personal approach. We like to empower our employees, and from the employee, you also have to have the communication with the planner. So we do a certain amount of automation, but we don't do full automation because we still believe in the human aspect of planning.
That makes sense. So could you dig in a little bit more into the actual problems that Tomigo solves? So if I'm a retailer and I'm dealing with certain issues right now, what does Tomigo do to solve those problems?
So it really depends on the customer, and we are serving a customer base that is super broad, that goes from the local bakery with 10 employees up until customers like Intersport, for instance, that are operating in very many countries, different legislations and different scheduling approaches. So the problem that we're operating in is basically to have the right people at the right time to fulfill a certain need towards the customers. That is how I would break it down. And in terms of how we help and what problems we mostly solve, I would say that there is a lack of one solution that incorporates every legislations through Europe. We're focusing mostly on Europe in the workplace. So basically to make sure that all of the right employees work at the right time, but also not for too long and are not overworking. So we also want to help out towards work-life balance, for instance.
Nice. So who's actually using the product? Is it the store manager? Is it team leaders?
Exactly. So it's usually our standard roles are administrator, planner, and employee.
Right.
The employee being the person who really works in the store. For instance, in a retail fashion store, being at the counter. Then, of course, the planner, which can be the store manager, but could also be a regional manager if you have several stores in your surrounding that you're responsible for. Plus the administrator, who is fully responsible for the setting up and the configuration with Tomigo, which we always do together with the customer. So it's very important for us to set up the right profile for the right company.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So is there a good example of a retailer you've worked with recently, a recent project? There's a really good example of what Tomigo do and how they bring value to customers.
In general, we serve in in a couple of different areas. So I mentioned Intersport before.
Yeah.
There's also customers like Salomon. So pretty much sport, fashion, retail.
Yeah.
But then we also serve for bigger supermarket chains, for instance. What we basically deal with is like closing the gap between HR system and payroll system. So we get the HR data, usually from integrations with a functioning HR system, whatever that may be, that brings the data into Tamigo. We work with that data and bring that into the payroll system so that in the end of the day, people get the right amount of money.
Nice.
So it's different industries. It's different problems that we deal with, but in the end of the day, it's the core element being closing the gap between HR and payroll.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So what are some of the challenges of doing that? Like at retail level, at the employee level, like what do you have to overcome to implement a solution?
Yeah. I'll start with the employee level. Yeah. For the employee in a market like Germany, for instance, it is often a lack of digitalization. So we provide a perfectly easy and intuitive app, and we want to make sure that it is as intuitive as possible. But there is such a big resistance of the employees to use their own smartphones for work and for clocking in and clocking out that that is one of the biggest employee challenges. For the planner, it's a different one because they often have a certain way of doing things, especially if you have pen and paper before and you have your solutions how to deal with things, or you use Excel and you're the grandmaster of Excel. It is a way of doing things, of course, and there's a lot of opportunities, but what we really solve is a consistent way of dealing with your employees that solves your daily work pretty much. We have supermarket chains where the planners say that they, after starting with Tamigo, saved 1 day of working per week, which of course gives them a lot of time to take care of their employees and don't spend so much time on the scheduling part.
Nice.
And then for the administrator level, what are the challenges there? I would say the configuration of all kinds of contract types, because there's a lot. It doesn't matter in which market you're going, there's always a lot of contract types and a lot of legislation that has to be taken into consideration. But with a very good implementation team, we help out. We create those contract types in Tamigo so they are perfectly dealt with.
Love that. Excellent. So obviously the company's been going for a while. You've got some great products. What's on the roadmap for this year? Or what does a good 2024 look like? Is it more product enhancements? Is it geographic expansion? Could you dig into that a little bit?
So it's a very, very good growth and a very healthy growth. Also during COVID, for instance. So we really make sure to not overgrow ourselves. And what we take care of is mostly product development. We get a lot of feedback from our customers, the people that are using Tamigo, and then our customer success managers take care that those kinds of this feedback, basically in the end of the day, is used in the right way in order to improve our solution. So we don't just ad hoc create a new button if somebody says we need that new button, and that is very important, and that also helps us in terms of growing healthily. I would say we want to focus more on the German market, the French market, and the UK market for this year. That's a very big goal. And while also dealing with other markets, like for instance, Italy, which is not one of our core markets, but we have a good customer base because we found a very, very good amount of hotels and restaurants in Italy. And then the word goes around. So also through this podcast, for instance, I really hope that somebody will be curious about Tamigo, get to know the solution.
Sure they will. I mean, labor optimization is obviously a big problem, workforce management, so I'm sure they will. Moving into the overall retail market, how are you feeling about that? What do you think some of the challenges that retailers are facing, both in the short term and the long term?
I mean, I mentioned the AI topic before, so I'm not going to dig too much into that again. But for our specific niche, it is the question: how can we help everybody in the company in order to be more efficient at the workplace. There's so many like new POS systems, new cashier systems that go all in the direction of efficiency. And of course, we want to support that as much as possible. That means for us, we need seamless integrations to other systems. We need APIs wherever there's possibilities to create APIs in order to centralize the employees and also the planners on one system, being Tamigo, hopefully.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so what about some of the challenge for retail tech providers? You know, we're all here, we're trying to get noticed by retailers, some different technology and things to sell. What are some of the challenges for tech providers like yourselves on a macro level?
Okay. One of the biggest challenge is definitely our approach of serving a big market like Europe. We want to be a standardized solution that can be customized in a way so that it's useful for everybody. But other of our competitors, for instance, focus very much on one industry in one country, being, let's say, Austria and the hospitality industry. And then if you talk to somebody in the hospitality industry in Austria, they already have that one solution. But the problem about that is that the expansion potential is zero. And that is something that with Tamigo is solved perfectly, because for us it's possible to expand into a new country with the same company basically, so that you have unlimited potential while using Tamigo.
Yeah. Well, great way to almost end the conversation. I just wanted to give you the opportunity. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Any topics we might have missed? Anything about Tamigo?
I think one thing that I want to highlight is definitely our way of supporting the customer, because we realize that support is the most important part of our business. If we don't have support for our customers, we will have a big problem in the end of the day. So what we have in our country, in our company, is a support for more than 20 countries and around 24 languages that we're supporting in a native way. And that is something that also not everybody has to offer, and therefore I would like to highlight that.
Yeah, that's excellent. Right, well, we're going to finish off on a bit of a fun question here. Now, I've been saying all week, we've been crowdsourcing what's everyone's favorite giveaway at a trade show, because we're here at a trade show, lots of people giving stuff away. Mine was things for the kids, right? Because I've got 3 kids. Until you guys just gave me a really big box of Danish butter biscuit, which I absolutely love. So that's my new favorite giveaway. What's your favorite giveaway at a trade show?
I think now having seen a lot, we've seen camera covers, we've seen pens, we've seen lighters.
Yeah.
I would love a fortune cookie. Fortune cookie, and nobody had it here. And I think in the fortune cookie, not only do you provide something sweet, but you can also put messaging on the letter, like for instance, the webpage of the company that you're representing. So it has something childish about it, where you can discover yourself. Everybody likes fortune cookies, and you can even bring a bit of information in it.
That's a really cool idea. I love that. Next year.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Anton. Really enjoyed that. Good luck with everything, and hopefully we'll speak again soon.
Thank you, Rob. It was quite a pleasure.